Well, my friends, Kamala Harris deserves an Academy Award for gaslighting, deflecting, and dancing around all of those questions. The debate just ended and Kamala Harris did not answer any of my questions. She's been there for 4 years as vice president. She's been a part of the Democratic elite for decades. Why haven't they fixed these issues? Kamala Harris, now she wants to act all rough and tumble on the border. You were put in charge of the border back in 2021, then oversaw the worst immigration crisis in American history. I have questions. Now, Kamala Harris, she had a rough start in the debate. She was like one of those beat up old jalopies in the Walmart parking lot that takes a few minutes to get going. Objectively speaking, you guys know I'm not owned by the RNC, the DNC, I just call it like I see it. David Muir, the other woman, I don't know her name, and Kamala Harris, it was 3 against 1.
What's going on, guys? So we got to talk more about this disastrous debate for Kamala Harris. Okay, now obviously, again, the leftists are gonna, oh, she did great. Like, some of these same people, bear in mind, think that Joe Biden did okay in that debate. So that's to tell you everything that you need to know. And they overlooked this cognitive decline before, and again, some people after that last debate back in June. So you're dealing with some of those same people now. So there's a couple clips where there's these focus groups on various different networks. Pretty much everybody had already had these set up like for right after the debates ended. Okay, so I'm going to react to a couple of these because there's some interesting points that I want to address in them. There is some division. Some people actually favor Kamala, some people favor Trump, but you already know how that they don't have no real good reason for doing that, but we'll get into that in a second, and then I'll give you my commentary along the way. Let's get into it.
Well, Nora, as you know, this is a swing area, and of course we've got a range of reactions from our voters who watched this entire debate. I just want to go down the line with all of you and just very quickly tell me who you believe won this debate tonight. We'll start with you, Bridget.
Definitely Kamala Harris.
I would say Kamala Harris.
Donald Trump.
Kamala Harris.
Now, before they continue, I guarantee you, now I've already seen polls, like pretty much every news organization has done polls, and on all of them, they say Donald Trump won. All of them. Okay? So this is just a group of 5 people. I want to reiterate that. But let's listen to some of the reasons that they give. And I guarantee you all these people were Kamala supporters prior to the... They be trying to pretend so bad that they're like swing voters. You know they're not swing voters if they're voting for somebody who just published policies on their website yesterday.
And tell me why.
He spoke facts. She just basically repeated everything that Biden has said in the past.
Of course.
What were your thoughts?
She made, Donald Trump made a strong closing statement by saying, why didn't they do all the things that she's proposing during the 3.5 years that they've been in office? And Biden did this.
Look, even a dude, even a black dude in the back's like, yeah, I mean, that is a good point. And he talking about Kamala Harris won the debate. Fool. You make yourself look stupid. He probably trying to be on code or something. I'm telling you, it can't be, because I already heard part of this. Listen to what this, we're going to get to what this fool had to say.
Higher moderate stance back in 2020, and she's trying to do it again in 2024, but she didn't talk about her policy changes between 2020 and 2024. Her whole centrist moderate stance is just a facade.
I mean, you're someone who said
basically
that
she's a lying piece of garbage.
you support Kamala Harris. How do you respond to that?
I think that Kamala has a lot of good plans for the future, and I think that since she wasn't the one that was mainly in charge, even though she is vice president, there is Congress and there is checks and balances, so she can't do everything. I think that with her being more in power with president, I think that she would be able to do a better job.
So this is something that actually kills me about the argument with Kamala Harris VP position. So people try to argue that, well, why you support Kamala Harris? She hasn't done anything, or she doesn't have that much experience. They're like, well, she's the vice president. Of course she has experience. Are you crazy? She's done this. She's done that. Okay, well, she hasn't done enough. Well, she was only the vice president. They want to take away her responsibility because she's a vice president. But then when they want to say she did good things, they're like, oh, well, she's the vice president. She achieved a lot, when they want to try to claim she achieved a lot. It's like they want it both ways. Either she was responsible as VP with power as VP, or she wasn't powerful at all. You can't just say, well, as vice president, you don't expect anything from her. She's the vice president of the United States. I can see if she was an average citizen, but she's in a VP position. She's still in a strong position. Is foolish. She could influence the president. Just, hey, talk to the president. Just have a conversation. Hey, if a lot of voters don't like what's going on, maybe we should do something. You can't just say she has no influence at all. That's the stupidest logic ever. Anybody who thinks that is retarded.
Robert, I know we started off the evening where you said you're not sure who you may support. Did this debate change your mind in any way?
Kind of did make me sway a little bit toward Kamala Harris with the same exact facts that she made as well. A lot of the big issues for me were the fact that Kamala is a politician and the debate is a politician's game. And I believe that she definitely has a better convincing point.
Okay. Does somebody translate in the comments what this fool just said? Let's keep it going.
For who to vote for.
Is there anything you didn't hear tonight that you wanted to hear?
Well, Kamala Harris didn't answer why she, whether or not your life was better over the last 4 years versus during the Trump administration. That was the first question, and she didn't answer that.
Eddie?
Well, I wanted to hear, as I said at the beginning, I wanted to hear honest, actual policy proposals, and I wanted to hear the truth. And I got some honest policy proposals, but they all came from Kamala Harris. All I heard from Donald Trump was more angry vilification of immigrants.
Illegal immigrants, big dog.
More goofy conspiracy theories about 9-month abortions and eating your neighbor's cat.
That's the whole abortions. All of that stuff is true. These people just don't know what the hell they're talking about, but all that stuff is true.
And those aren't policy proposals, and I really was looking for something like that.
I was kind of hoping that we would address more about our broken immigration system, since we really haven't had substantial immigration reform since the 1980s and even further back to 1960s. And a lot of those decisions made in the 1960s and 1980s have caused this immigration problem that we currently have right now. And I was kind of hoping that both of them would talk about immigration and how they would fix immigration. But while Trump attempted to say that there is a problem with immigration and that those that have come here legally should be deported, she really deflected on immigration and didn't take responsibility or Biden's responsibility for letting people in illegally.
The facts. I mean, Kamala Harris hasn't accepted responsibility for anything. Trump's been out of office for going on 4 years now, and she still blames him, a guy who's not in office, who's being politically persecuted and always in court all the damn time. She's blaming him for all of her failures. Not Joe Biden, not herself, but Donald Trump.
I think it's important to remember that we are voting for the leader of our country and not who we like the most or who we want in our wedding party, but who is actually going to make our country better. And we're in an incredibly unique situation where we've had both of the candidates in office before, and we've gotten to see what they would do. And when facts come to facts, my life was better when Trump was in office. The economy was higher, inflation was lower, things were better overall. And now with Kamala's administration, things haven't been so fantastic. And she's saying she can fix the problems that her administration has caused, but I just don't know if I can afford to take that risk.
Were you leaning towards the former president coming in tonight?
Probably.
And did you vote for him in 2016 or 2020?
I did.
Race baiting and fear mongering was a big part of her tactic tonight.
Part of Kamala's tactic?
Yes, Kamala's tactic.
Okay. What in particular would you remember about that?
Especially when she brought up the Central Park Five. I think that's a hot button issue, especially for a lot of African Americans, but she leaves out a lot of specifics to that. Like the lead prosecutor was a Democrat at the time. Back then, Donald Trump was also a Democrat. He wasn't always a Republican, and he was praised heavily in a good way for taking out that ad in the paper because a lot of people did think that they were guilty. So a lot of people that were against Trump now were once a big fan of his, and I think he was gaslit during the entire debate, and that was probably why he was so defensive. And even when he brought up the topic of race, he brought that up because she's pandering. She's using being black as a trope to get the black vote, I'm sorry. But instead of her leaning into it, I would have liked to see her lean into the fact that, yes, I am a black woman, and this is my plan for Black America, but she clearly doesn't have a plan because she's essentially not black. But she used that as a moment to paint him as a racist.
Boom. Ouch. Ow. Damn, look. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Donald Trump already dealt the knockout blow, okay? Don't kick Kamala while she's down. I'm just kidding. Jump her ass. Who the hell cares? Because she's gonna get jumped. Starting with early voting all the way to November. This is gonna be the longest ass beating in history, okay? Because Donald Trump just smoked her. He already took out Sleepy Joe. Now he done beat down Kamala Harris. She's getting beat down in all of these polls, poly markets, betting markets is not looking good. So you see what these people are saying. Most of these people from these panels are native Pennsylvanians, which is basically the key swing state to the election. You win Pennsylvania, most of the time the stats show that you got like a 95% chance of winning the entire election. So this is what these people think. It looks like it's not looking good for Kamala Harris. She's demanding a rematch. I don't know if Donald Trump is going to give it to her or not. I think he should only do it if she agrees to go to Fox News. And if the way that ABC did Trump, Fox News need to fact check her and make sure that she can't lie. Don't just let it be like, oh, we gonna be totally fair over here. Nah, go ahead and reverse bully her and see how she likes it. Her ass ain't never gonna come back to Fox News again. But anyway, guys, these are just my thoughts as well as some of these Pennsylvania voters' thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate you watching the Black Anomaly Rising channel. I'm out.
When I first heard that we were abandoning or we were withdrawing from Afghanistan and the way it was happening, I had my Kennedy moment. It was very similar to when we decided to invade Iraq back under President Bush. And when I saw that we were leaving that amount of high-tech equipment in the hands of our enemy, and later that day or later that week, I saw on the news where them celebrating with our guns in their hands. I realized what a travesty that was. In the loss of money in that we abandoned when we left, plus the very bullets that we left there that they were shooting at us as we flew away into planes.